All right, all, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. We'll have some folks starting to join us as we go through the class today. Just want to give you an update on where we are with some grading. I'm almost done grading the e-portfolios. And so those hold on. Okay, Gabe's joining us. So I want to give some feedback on the e-portfolios real quick and sort of share with you what I'm reading. Also, at the same time, also welcome you to really think about sharing yourself, not only to me because I'm the one reading it, but also to each other, right? And so some things to consider when we think about e-portfolios and and as you build it for the next few pages. I did grade based on completion. Okay. And so, I wasn't really nitpicky on things, but more so appreciative of the fact that you're doing this, right? And so, with that said, some things to consider, editing and so forth. First and foremost, give some context to the pictures you selected. One of the unique things that I'm noticing with some of you and the ones I'm grading is you're sharing photos of yourself, which is terrific, right? And some of you are actually taking a step further and illustrating, your work environments, which is great. Give some context to it, right? When you put a caption, if you will, or if you have a accessible screen reader, insert a caption of what it is that we're supposed to be looking at. Okay, so something to keep in mind as it relates to your photos. They do tell a story of who you are and where you come from, right? So capitalize on that. Share with us why this is important to you, but more importantly, why you've selected this as part of your portrayal, your presentation of yourself. Okay. The portfolio in and of itself is not only has some visual qualities, but also has some written communication qualities. This is an example of your written communication skills. With that said, consider utilizing full sentences, right? Proper grammar and spelling. This section did a better job spelling than the other one, I'll have to admit. But keep in mind that this is an example of your written communication skills, right? If you do present this portfolio, say within academia or to an employer, they do see this as an example of how you can write and how you can communicate. Okay. Many of you are using standard templates from Wix or Weebly. Totally fine. I would ask that you consider cleaning up some of the fodder, if you will, or some of the unnecessary pages. You may need to insert pages later on, but consider unpublishing those pages within your portfolio, right? And the final thing, and again, this is the thing that I love about the portfolios, because it does allow me to see another side of you. And that's, many of you have shared your passions, your interests. One student shared a photo of them playing instruments. Another one shared their passion and their interests and participation in other campus activities, like the rugby team, Bearcat Motorsports, Cube Cats. That's great. That does share another side of you. More importantly, it provides the employer another perspective of what you do with your time and how you manage your time and how you manage your interests. So that's just something to keep in mind as we move forward. Today we are talking about career planning, goal setting. I like to think that goals are like belly buttons. Everyone has one. But at the same time, also, what kinds of goals are we setting for ourselves? More importantly, as you think about moving forward, as you think about the next 18 months, okay, what is the plan after graduation? What is your plan as you jump into a career? Okay, this is your opportunity, your space to really think about, what do you want to do? at the end of your time at the University of Cincinnati, or AKA put on your adult pants, AKA adulting, AKA your adult job, right? So today I'm going to cover some key things, but more importantly, some tools that may be helpful in your job search. Before we do that, let me kick off with a simple video to sort of explain what I mean by goal setting.
Goal setting is a powerful tool in increasing productivity. In fact, setting goals can increase your productivity by 11 to 25%. But actually setting and working towards goals can be challenging. So let's get smart about goals. S. Specific. Ask yourself what you want to accomplish. And most importantly, why? M. Make it measurable. Are you able to tell when you've reached your goal? A. Attainable. Goals should stretch you so you feel excited, but within your current ability. R. Relevant. Set goals that are going to positively impact your life. Does this goal fit in with your other life's goals and dreams? T. Time-based. A goal with a time deadline will create a sense of urgency and give you the energy you need to complete it. Finally, once you achieve your goal, it's time to celebrate and set the next goal.
So that's a general idea of what we think about when as it relates to goal setting. In the end, the video puts together the idea of developing SMART goals. Okay, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely, time-based. Actually, that's fine, but to add a little more context to this, what I want for you to consider is actually doing a gap analysis. Okay, when we do the gap analysis, what I want for you to consider is, where are you now? Okay. Moving forward, what is that desired state? Is the desired state meaning a specific job title, status, place of work, place of living? What qualities of life are you considering? So what is that desired state for you? Okay, duh, everyone has a job, okay? But let's be a little more specific in that respect when we think about what that job really means in the end. The in between is your gap analysis. When we look at the gap analysis, what are the key factors for you to move from your desired state to from your current state to your desired state? When we think about those key factors, it could be, if your desired state is to be a manager within 3 years, okay? Key factors for consideration are, do you have a PMP, a project management type of certification? Do you have experience leading others? Do you have other certifications? Are you in a position or in a job that allows for that type of growth? Okay. And then consider the action plan being those steps of going to get a PMP certification. I'm going to get my Six Sigma certification. I'm going to align myself in an entry-level position that will lead to management. Okay, so that would be a potential action plan, right? In the end, what I also want for you to consider are your strengths. Okay, one of the things to think about also is, when we think about your Clifton strengths also provide you your current state and your desired state. Again, remember within the resources I provided within Canvas, there's a document on the job search in terms of what from the University of Minnesota that talks about based on your Clifton strengths, what types of positions should you be striving towards, right? That could be your desired state. That could also be action steps that will lead you towards that desired state. Okay. Big picture, when we think about your Clifton strengths, we want for you to consider these 3 things: name it, claim it, and then aim it, right? Big picture, when we name it, right? What we're doing is we're looking at your Clifton strengths, your signature themes, right? Identify 2 or 3 to work on. And then ask yourself, what does this really mean for me? If there are specific phrases in the description, more importantly, in that insight report, if there are phrases or characteristics in the theme that speak to you or provide you a lot of clarity in terms of who you are, what does that mean to you? If you had to redefine the theme based on what you just read, what does that mean? Okay, so do that for about 2 or 3 of the 5, right? And that's the name it phase within this process. When we think about the idea of claiming it, right? When we think about those insights and those internalizations and internal definitions, what part of it do you actually claim to be your own? Okay, and as an example here on the screen, we see that in this example, includer, woo, and learner are the three signature themes that were considered for this individual. And the way this individual claimed it would be where this for under woo, and if you can't read it, under woo, the person is claiming that they recognize and appreciate having that woo quality when they enjoy meeting people and reaching out to new people. When they feel that and are recognized for bringing new energy into social situations, they feel that when it comes to that woo, they claim that characteristic, they claim that strength when they can connect with others and help people connect with each other, right? And the developing on the social aspects of that signature theme. And then finally listed here is they love to draw people out of their shells, or in another sense, they claim that characteristic of them when they're able to get people to engage with not only themselves, but also each other, right? So when we think about claiming it, again, internalizing the definition, saying that this is me as a woo, this is me as a learner, this is me as a relator, okay? Again, pick about 2 or 3 of them and think about it in that respect. Finally, aim it, okay? When we think about aiming, the idea is taking your signature theme and using it towards setting a goal, right? So to give you some context here are 3 questions to ask. 1, what is the biggest challenge you're currently facing, right? 2, what are your goals in the next 90 days, next 6 months, next 18 months, okay? These are things that you could use to help you not only in terms of career planning, but short-term decision-making, short-term planning, okay? And then how might you use your talents or strengths to help you tackle your biggest challenges, okay? That's how you could apply your signature themes to goal setting and to developing that action plan for future goals, okay? In another sense also, when we think about the big picture goal, right? 3 things to think about. 1, paint a vivid picture of what success would look like, or as some folks in the leadership space would call it, your BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, okay? What is the vivid picture that's going to inspire you? What is the picture that's going to help you plan for that future, okay? Is your goal inspiring? Does it inspire you to keep on going and persevere, right? And then finally, your goal has to be consistent with your values and your strengths, okay? How are they aligned? Can they be aligned, okay? Understanding that helps you understand also how to use your strengths towards your goals. To give you some fodder to think about and to give you some tools to start developing not only goals but action plans. One strategy that I'm proposing to you is considering using some of the websites for information and resource. And so with that, think about some websites as I pull them up here. The first one is actually the Career Shift website, okay? And if you go, and I'll put this in the chat, if you go to uceng.careershift.com, okay? this website and this page that you see here is exclusive to University of Cincinnati College of Engineering and Applied Science students. Okay. And, you know, with that said, yeah, it's important to note that students in the College of Engineering and Applied Science have access to this. It is paid for by the college. And so, you know, utilize it. It is a great resource. And I'm going to go ahead and log in for you and show you the website. If I have it, if you're familiar with this already, then you know what I'm talking about, right? But there are two ways you could use this. One, you can search for specific jobs. Okay, so if we're going to do a job search, let's say, for example, one of your future goals is to be a nuclear engineer. Okay. And let's search by, let's say, we're going to go full-time. The source would be all websites, job boards, meaning could be Department of Labor Exchange, Indeed, and actual employer sites. So we're going to click that. Experience level, entry level, and see if there's any search. No search. So let me dial it back a little bit. Oh, I misspelled engineer. There you go. Sorry. And so when we look at the search, I misspelled engineer. But when we look at nuclear engineering, here are the positions that are available to individuals, right? When you click on any of them, it'll take you directly to the employer's website, okay? So that's one thing to keep in mind, okay? Or it'll take you to Indeed or whatever link the company has posted the position, okay? But the one thing I want to point out is as we look at some of these positions, I would like for you to consider taking a look at the actual job description and qualifications. When we look at some of these job descriptions, as we scroll down here, you know, they talk about the core values, the responsibilities listed here. Okay. And you know, have you done any of this work? If you've done if you have exposure to or experience in this work, then consider applying. Okay. There's also qualifications, and sometimes some employers will list if they desire specific certifications from students or candidates. Okay, something to keep in mind. So when we think about this, search engine and this platform, it is very much like Indeed. But let me take it a step further. You could actually look up specific contacts and companies. Let's say I want to look at specific companies. And let's say I want to look at companies in, oh, I don't know, aerospace. If I could type in aerospace. Aerospace and defense. Okay. And let's see. New Piper Aircraft Incorporated. Okay, when you look at when you click on the website, you'll get some basic information. At the same time, you have access to potentially company contacts. Okay, sometimes when you look at company contacts, it'll actually pull from LinkedIn. So this has an interface with LinkedIn, and it'll pull whatever is in LinkedIn for that company as a contact. Okay, let me put in a different company. Try Boeing. Okay, when we think about Boeing, You could, it also pulls internationally, by the way. But let me just do this Aviation Partners Incorporated. I'll click on the company contacts. There you go. And then you'll have some, and then you could reach out to these individuals directly based on the email address that's here or their LinkedIn profile. Okay. So if you know, you could search for a director of engineering, or if there's an HR director you want to reach out to, or a VP of manufacturing, you could look at a company, search the contacts, and go from there. Okay. So that's one website. And again, it's uceng.careershift.com. Right. Next one is ONET. And ONET is basically an occupational dictionary compiled and maintained by the US Department of Labor. And I'm going to keep it general. And I'm going to say, let's search for mechanical engineering as a potential career. When we do that, you're given a list of potential occupations and their occupational code. Many careers and many jobs within the United States are based off a specific code. These codes actually lead to economic reporting and economic development within regions of the United States. I use these codes more so as a way to sort of use it as data to identify career paths and opportunities for students relating to grants, specifically NSF and Department of Labor grants. Okay, but when we keep it general, I'm going to go to mechanical engineers, right? And so from here, what I want to point out are several things. One, and I'll increase the size of the screen here. You have a general description and potential titles, okay? When we think about broadening your search for specific jobs, consider these other titles. So a mechanical engineer could also be considered a application engineer, a design engineer, equipment engineer, process engineer, project engineer, test engineer, okay? So when we think about specific ways of broadening your search within, like, say, Indeed or LinkedIn, or even within this occupational dictionary, you could expand your language and your terminology and your search terms, keyword searches, actually. Here you also see a series of links, and I'll walk through here with you. First one is tasks. And so when we think about the major tasks that mechanical engineers perform and complete while on the job, these are the popular ones. And I say that because these are based off of job descriptions compiled by the Department of Labor. And it's compiled via job searches or search engines and job postings. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you have experience or skills within these specific tasks, maybe consider rephrasing your resume to include this language. Okay. When we think about the technology skills, the hard skills, you'll notice that many of you may have SolidWorks, Visual Basic, Visio experience. The ones with the little flame icon indicate that they're it's a hot technology skill set and highly sought after by employers. Okay, so if you have these skills, it's important to note not only that you have it, but also the degree in which you have, and the degree of exposure and competency. Okay. Knowledge base is more so the main knowledge base that mechanical engineers draw from. The other set of skills is more so the human skills and the non-visible skills. So, for example, active listening, critical thinking, and then part of this is also communication. Okay, and we see that in abilities. Work activities span different types of projects you may be working on. If you have this, maybe consider utilizing some of the language and transforming your resume to incorporate the language that you see here. Okay, that's why I bring this up. Moving farther down, you'll note, in terms of level of education, and right now, a bachelor's degree is a requirement. Okay, um, and going farther down to potential occupations, but the one thing I want to draw your attention to is wages and employment trends. Okay, so what you see here, based on these numbers, the median wage is 42.51 hourly, or 88,430 annually. Okay, that is the median wage for all engineers, right? Um, when we think about specifically students coming out of the University of Cincinnati in mechanical engineering, in manufacturing, in the Midwest, we're looking at the upper 60s as a starting salary after graduation. Co-op typically adds anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 more based on salary. The other piece to it too that I want to point out when it comes to wages for mechanical engineering students graduating is that it differs based on function. So the high 60s that I quoted to you is in manufacturing and design. If we go into sales, it's a different figure altogether. The highest I've seen it for within sales is about 82,000 based on commission of 25% commission, of which 15% is guaranteed, meaning that the candidate or the person working in the role has to generate 10% more. Okay. So when we think about your salary, just know that the number you should be shooting for is in the mid to upper 60s for manufacturing and design. And then depending on function, it differs. Okay. So for example, testing is typically starting at about 60 to 65. If we're talking about higher level engineering, it's pretty much an additional 5 to 10,000. Okay. It also depends on industry. So in oil and gas, no matter what company, high 80s to low 90s is what I'm seeing in oil and gas. Okay. And I'll say specifically, Marathon is at $95,000, no matter where you are. Okay. So another part of this is when we think about salary, it is actually cost. You have to consider cost of living. Okay. So when we think about those cost of living indexes and those cost of living calculators, if you think about where we are in Cincinnati versus the Bay Area, it's actually the cost of living in the Bay Area is twice as much. The one area that is pretty much close to Cincinnati in terms of salary and other factors is actually Nashville. Okay, and I'll talk more about that and when we go over salary negotiation later on in the class. Okay. The other thing I want to point out within this page also is projected growth. This is based on numbers compiled by the Department of Labor over a 10-year span, and they are fluctuating. Right now, you see that the demand in 2019 is about 316,000 employees. Okay, and there's a 3 to 4% average growth nationwide. You can break this down by state. Okay. And then you also see here the top industries, right? Within the Midwest, we are seeing manufacturing as the up and coming industry that's in high demand for mechanical engineering folks. This is a number that I've been saying often for the last 5 years now, has been that by 2023, there will be a massive shift in mechanical engineering and manufacturing, whereby mechanical engineers are going to be in high demand in manufacturing in the Midwest because of the brain drain and because of the numbers of engineers that are on their way to retirement. Okay. COVID has actually accelerated that percentage and has shifted a lot the demand sooner than later. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then there's also a link here to potential jobs, okay? When we think about the different search engines for jobs out there, go to Career Shift, okay? Career Shift is very comprehensive, and it allows you to save your searches, and also it helps you search for companies and goes directly to company websites. Okay, so those are some tools to consider. Again, the first one is Career Shift, and I did put that on the page. The other one is ONET, and I'll put that in the chat. It's onetonline.org. Okay. So I do want to touch upon a couple more things as we are hitting the halfway point in our class. When we think about that process of searching for jobs, the first thing we think about are the resumes. Okay. And so when we think about resumes, I do want to point out some things to consider, right? When we think about resumes. First of all, when you created your co-op resume, back in the day, it is based on specific characteristics that companies have required of us or have asked us for students to include in their resume. So in a sense, the objective statement, not necessary back then because your objective was to get a co-op job and gain necessary skills. But the objective statement is used in other ways, right? Or we've asked you to remove the statement of references available upon request, right? And so that statement right there, is just a wasted space because in the end, the University of Cincinnati and the co-op program was your reference, right? So now when we think about that professional resume after graduation, there are some elements of the resume that I would probably say consider putting it back into your resume, right? More specifically, statement, maybe a professional summary of qualifications, an objective statement, and so forth. And so first things first, objective statement, okay? It provides a focus for the resume. You're telling the employer what you're exactly looking for, right? Not only in terms of a job, but also maybe industry. And so there are three types of objective statements to consider here, okay? One is the position, meaning that you desire a specific position within a company, and you could actually base that position on a specific job title that you're applying to, right? If you're going broader, right, you're looking at a specific field altogether. What kind of field are we looking at, right? And so in this example, seeking an entry-level position in the pharmaceutical industry, okay? Is it specific? Yeah, in terms of level. It's also specific in terms of the industry. And then finally, the other type of objective statement is that of skills. You're desiring a position that utilizes your design, FEA, and project management skills, okay? You could take this a step further then and actually use it as a way to say, desire a position as a process engineer that utilizes my skills in Six Sigma and project management, okay? Something to keep in mind. You could also take this a step further and briefly describe your experience. So one of the things I've been asking you to do is in your e-portfolios, right? Describe what you're doing, describe describe who you are as an engineer. You could use some of that material to say, maybe say 4 semesters of work experience in blank industry, seeking a position in the pharmaceutical industry, right? So you could play with it and actually add a little more to it when it comes to objective statements, right? The other piece is cover letters. One of the things to keep in mind is as you're applying for jobs after graduation, you will have to start developing cover letters, okay? There is a basic formula, and it is this. One, you're showcasing your skills, your communication skills. Two, you're showing your interest. And then three, you're reflecting on your experiences, okay? That's the broader formula. Here it is. Here's what to think about. Here's what you should think about as it relates to composing that cover letter. First and foremost, in the first paragraph, tell them why you're interested. More importantly, tell them where you got it. So if you could say, I'm stating my, I found your job on the company website. Make sure you indicate the reference number. The skills and experiences required of the position align with my resume. I'm please accept my letter and resume as a statement of interest. Okay. Paragraph number 2 is supposed to, you're basically summarizing your experiences, but more importantly, explain why you're a better fit than the other candidates. Okay. So you could start off by saying, as you review my resume, you'll notice that I will have 5 semesters of full-time work experience from the University of Cincinnati's mechanical engineering program. In that time frame, I completed 5 semesters in blank industry, utilizing blank skills or developing blank skills. Okay. As I read the job description and the job requirements, I feel that my experiences in X project provides me the best opportunity to showcase what I can do, and so forth, right? And then finally closing, thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing an interview from you in the near future, okay? So try to consider, when you develop these cover letters, to keep it all to one page, okay? But better, some other things to consider is when you compose your cover letter, the top part of your cover letter should match the top part of your resume. From a publication standpoint, it's considered the masthead, okay? So consider that sort of design aspect of your cover letter to match your resume. Be precise and concise. By keeping it to one page, and also a one-page resume, you're also making sure that the employer has all the information that they need, right? Focus on what you can do for the employer, okay? Focus on not only what you can do, but also the skills that you bring in, right? And that then plays into the idea of what you can do, right? The key thing here is when we think about your resume and your cover letter, right? Big picture, we're looking at the opportunity to create a master document, right? And then from there, when we think about that master document, from there, what we're doing is allowing you to tailor the resume and the cover letter based on the job and also based on the company that you're applying to, okay? So, compared to the job search process for your co-op job, you only prepared one resume, right? Keep in mind that when you are developing applications to multiple jobs for that job after graduation, you're tailoring it to the job, to the position, and to the company. And so you're going to have to keep multiple versions of your resume, multiple versions of your cover letter. Hopefully, as you develop these versions of your resume and cover letter, you're tweaking little bits here and there, okay? You may say that you're wanting a job in the pharmaceutical industry, and then next thing you know, you're wanting to you're developing a resume that says that you want a job in the medical device industry. Completely fine. You're just tailoring the need that you have and tailoring the want based on the company and the job, okay? Are there any questions as it relates to the idea of goal setting and the tools that I presented? Okay. Once again, what I'm asking you to consider is when we think about, the types of goals, is it specific, measurable, timely, right? and specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. The other part to it too is when you think about when you develop your goals, is it moving you from your current state to your desired state? One way to consider goal setting and goal development and planning for your future is to consider how you could introduce or utilize your Clifton strengths, okay? And the idea of name it, claim it, and then aim it. I showed you some websites that not only provided you information on the expectations for a job after graduation, but also the key descriptors and key phrases to possibly incorporate into your resume, because these key phrases can be useful as you submit your applications to a company that utilizes an automated text recognition platform or ATS. And so when we think about that, as you submit resumes and cover letters, not only is it evaluating spelling and grammar, but more importantly, it's identifying keywords. And based on the keywords that you inserted into the resume, it may hit a specific score, right? To then further your application for consideration for a potential interview, right? Again, utilize the ONET website to identify keywords as it relates to connected jobs and job responsibilities for you. Transform the language in your website or in your resume to include some of the keywords and phrases from ONET, okay? And then also ONET gives you some potential opportunities to think about other keywords as you're searching for jobs after graduation. I did go over Career Shift that gives you a good platform, not only searching for companies at the company web, or searching for jobs directly at company websites, but also in a broader sense using the National Labor Exchange and also other platforms like Indeed, Glassdoor, and LinkedIn. Okay. Other than that, I hope that you had an opportunity to take a look at the remote class from last week, the recording from Dr. Tom Houston regarding the senior capstone class. If you haven't, it is posted in Canvas, and so take a look at that that recording. More specifically, it helps answer some of the questions that you may have as it relates to what you can do for a senior design project. If you have specific questions on the senior design project, let me know and I will forward those on to Dr. Houston. Okay. Other than that, any general questions? All right. Well, thank you all for your attention. Thank you for coming today. I will see you next week. And then I will also post this recording on the Canvas site. Thanks a lot.